You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Happy Thursday again. It's Groundhog Day. Third of the podcasts that we're doing today. Because, yeah, we're tripling up. It's not the first time I've ever tripled up on podcasts, but it is the first time that I've posted all three in one day. So that's where we're at. Probably could have saved one for tomorrow or something like that. Let's be honest, I'm probably not doing one on Friday because I'm going to be out. I have a thing that I've been doing on Friday that's precluded me from being around. But yeah, we're doing it. We're doing the Michigan Mailbag again, finally, a week late, but on the right day. So that's where we're at. And Zuri's here. She's excited. I don't know what she's doing, but she's standing under the desk licking her lips, being a little nutcase like she usually is. Anyway, we have 15 questions from less question askers, so let's just get right to it, starting with the leaders and best. James Crudup at James Crudup 6. Do you think Juwan jumps back to the NBA after Jace and Jet are gone? I mean, it's certainly possible if I don't know that he has that itch. I don't think that he doesn't really strike me as the type of guy that's like yearning for an NBA job, right? Like Jim Harbaugh clearly yearns for an NFL job, or at least yearned. I don't think that Juwan is necessarily that guy. I think that like him coaching Michigan is kind of the pinnacle. You know, there's just some guys that are college guys and some guys that are pro guys, some guys that can kind of, well, one guy who can go either way. I mean, certainly we've seen, well, I guess we've seen NFL guys go to college and be pretty good, but usually there's, you know, nothing that you're really writing home about there either. Jim's the only one that's really kind of done it really well at both levels. But, I mean, we're talking Jace and Jet gone. So we're talking at least 3 years, if not more. Probably 4, maybe 5. And if he's got maybe like a national championship or 2, yeah, maybe. But I feel like he's the type of guy that would rather stay at Michigan, get a, you know, have it be Juwan Howard Court at Chrysler Center type thing. You know what I mean? Like he seems like the type of guy that would want to stick around and really build a legacy. I can't imagine. Now, the only caveat there is if it's the Miami Heat where he got his start at coaching, I could see that being the case. If Spoelstra hangs it up at the right exact time. But yeah. Let's continue on. Josh Barr at Jadakey. Michigan is in the lead in the Directors' Cup after winter sports wrapped up. What odds do you give us of holding on to it and fending off Stanford and Texas? I know there was an update today. They're up by like 139 points. And I feel like I don't necessarily say that's insurmountable because I don't know enough about the Directors' Cup to know for sure, but I do feel like it is pretty close to insurmountable. So I think that Michigan will hang on. And hey, just goes to tell you how good. If you don't know what the Directors' Cup is, it's a mix between, I believe APR does play a part of it, but it also takes the big thing is success across all sports. That's why Stanford always wins. It's APR and success in all sports. And Michigan's just been excellent. Just, you know, football, basketball, both men's and women's, hockey, wrestling, gymnastics, both men's and women's, I believe. I know women's for sure really good. Did I say wrestling? It just seems like everything is going really well. I know there's others in there that are pretty good, but then I think with the fact that Michigan baseball is really good, Michigan softball is really good, I think that it's pretty much in the bag. So I'll say 80%. As far as I don't know how to do the odds, but I'll say 80%. You think with all of my conversations with Johnny Avello, you think I'd be able to start making some odds. I can't. Jimmy Whitner at Jimmy Whitner 1. If Aiden is gone, who would you choose for the Lions? He's got a couple here, so let's see. No, who would I choose for the Lions if Aiden is picked number 1? I think you're done probably on the offensive line. I think they definitely could use some edge rushing help. I would take, what's his name? Trayvon Walker from Georgia, probably. And if not him, I don't know. I'm not really thinking Kayvon Thibodeau is the guy. And granted, no one really has him as going as at number 2. I would probably do someone like him. I wouldn't take a quarterback. I feel like they can. I like Malik Willis, but I don't think that it's like, okay, yeah, you got to go get him. You know? I just don't think he's the guy. Number 2, after spring practice, what position still needs the most improvement? I don't know that there's like a glaring weakness per se. And it's hard to judge spring ball because this was a split squad situation. I mean, I don't want to say linebacker because I still feel like linebacker is because like I feel like it's all looked pretty good. But I just want to see more consistency at linebacker. A couple times Blake Corum made them look foolish, but that's what Blake Corum does. And up front, I mean, I thought the up front looked good, but you still want to see him get home. So I guess those front 7, I think, is really good. I was really impressed with the corners. So I'm looking more at the front 7 more than the back 4. I'm not concerned about the offense. Number 3, you can only attend 2 Michigan games in person this year. Which 2 are you going to then? That would be difficult for my job's sake. I would pick Ohio State, obviously. Maybe Iowa. And it's not a knock on Michigan State. The whole thing about Michigan, because Michigan State would be the easy other answer. I take that game personally, just like Ohio State, but like that's the thing is I would rather pick one where I am an anxious wreck for the entire game because other games, like I've told you before, if Michigan loses to Wisconsin, which I've been there while Michigan's lost to Wisconsin, it's like my mood is this, and it has been since 2017 forward, really. It's like, all right, well, okay, so here's like what were the storylines from the game? Here's if I'm going to ask something in the post game, here's what it's going to be, blah blah blah. Here's what what articles need to come out, all that kind of stuff. I don't think coherently if Michigan loses to Michigan State or Ohio State. I cannot. So and even in wins, like I had a hard time writing my post game article about the win over Ohio State. So I'd pick one of those 2 games to go to, and then I would either do Penn State or Iowa. There's not like a marquee non-conference, obviously, so it would be that. But, I mean, the correct answer is Michigan State, Ohio State. KRT at Farmark84. Who will lead the Yep, that's okay. I'm just making sure I finished all of Jimmy's questions. Who will lead the defense in sacks next year? Which wide receiver will lead the team in touchdowns? With the wide receiver, I'm going to go Andrell Anthony. I know people would probably say Ronnie Bell. You know what? I'm overthinking it. Ronnie Bell. And even though he had stretches where he wasn't scoring a bunch of touchdowns, his stats with Chris Olave are basically the same except for touchdowns. I think he's going to come in and he's going to be on a tear. So I'm going to go Ronnie Bell. And who will lead the defense in sacks next year? I think it's going to be Mike Morris. I'm just going to pick, I'm going to pick the easy answer here. Mike Morris. And I'm not finished answering your question, but I'm also going to put in Jonathan Joseph at JJoseph2156, who is your favorite for Michigan's next year's David Ojabo. This is where it can get interesting because if you're deploying Jalen Harrell strategically, he could be that guy. I think he has that skill set. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it was Mozzie Smith because I think they're going to need production from everyone. I don't think you're going to have like a 13-sack guy. I just think that you're going to have multiple guys with a lot of sacks. You know what I mean? I think you're going to have like a guy with 6 or 7 and then like a guy with 5 and then like 2 guys with 4. I think that's what it's going to look like. It's going to be way more egalitarian ultimately. All right, we're going to continue on here doing the mailbag. Very excited that we have we're doing a 3 for Thursday today. But before we do move on, listen, our next partner is a product I use literally every day. I started taking AG1 because, want better gut health, better health, more energy, all that kind of stuff. So what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All the things. So, you know what? When you personally consume it, I mean, you can do it in the morning and you get all that kinds of energy, you know, like you don't feel like you're just all bogged down. You don't necessarily need to have the Monster or the Red Bull that you might normally have. So, it's lifestyle friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, and it contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no fat, nasty chemicals, or artificial anything while still tasting good. And guess what? It supports better sleep quality and recovery. Tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high-quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb. And guess what? AG1 is a small micro habit with big benefits. It's the one thing you can do every day to take great care of yourself, and it will cost you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 5-star reviews. They were founded by when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues and ended up in a complicated supplement routine to recover. It cost him $100 a day, so he created Athletic Greens after experiencing how difficult it was to create an optimal nutrition routine on your own. And also, for every purchase, they donate to organizations helping to get nutritious food to kids in need, including No Kid Hungry here in the U.S. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. So make it easy. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/college. That's athleticgreens.com/college to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. For those that missed me, I have not gotten any better at reading. That's true. That's still a thing. I still reading aloud. I mean, I can read. I've read a lot of books here in my time to myself. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can listen to the podcast in which I cover the Mike Farrell thing, his top 5 in the Big Ten, and at segment 3 I explain why you haven't heard from me as much lately. But still not any better at reading, that's for sure. All right, Jim at Jim in the North with multiple. Getting to our Victor's Valiant here. Michigan seemed to take a huge step forward with recruiting last year with all the new young guys, but they seem stagnant this year. Was it the Harbaugh for flirtation with the NFL? I think that might be part of it, but for the most part, a lot of the guys that Michigan's going after, I think it's a couple things, right? That certainly could have played a part. A lot of the guys that they want haven't decided yet. It's not like they're missing out on a bunch of guys that was like, this is a guy they absolutely need or a guy they really, really want. They haven't decided yet. I say it every year. Doesn't matter. Like, it seems like every April and May, we get a lot of people complaining about where Michigan is. And even last year, I think it was into like June when they had the big recruiting weekend. But by signing day, it's like, oh, this class turned out to be pretty good. It happens every year. And Michigan this last year got a bunch of guys that maybe weren't as much on the radar, like Derek Moore, Darius Clemens, like these were guys I wasn't following. So I think they're doing a good job. There's some guys that their cornerback out of Dallas, Texas is borderline 5-star type elite corner. Can't remember his name offhand. Put Michigan in his top 6. You've got a couple guys that have done that lately. I think get back to me later. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But I think on top of it, if there are some of those borderline guys, Notre Dame has been a little bit pesky. And I think because they've got Marcus Freeman, because he's a new coach, he's coached in 1 game, there's an excitement level. And I think that that's going to play a part. But you know what? If Notre Dame goes out and gets shellacked by Ohio State, Michigan doesn't really face stiff competition until, middle end of the year, aside from Iowa. Things can change, right? Guy can be like, yeah, you know what? I appreciate it, Marcus Freeman, but never mind. Do you think MSU is approaching NIL, the portal, and recruiting better than Michigan? I can't speak to their NIL. because there's nothing I've seen from them that's been like, oh yeah, they're just killing it with NIL. Recruiting, they're about at the same spot as Michigan, but obviously both teams have 6 recruits commits at the moment. Michigan State's a spot higher. Michigan's in it for, I think, more high-end prospects. Now, Michigan State, I saw, is getting crystal balled for a lot of guys that I know, like some of them are like Eno Etta, who has a Michigan offer, and they just got crystal ball for Jalen Thompson from Cass Tech. So are they recruiting better? I wouldn't say that. Again, it's early. Michigan's always been kind of slow to this, except for like the year they got JJ, and then everyone's like, all right. Or I guess, a couple years ago they got Chris Hinton, and he was like the first one to commit or second one to commit, and it felt better because you had a 5-star committed. But I don't think that they're doing better than Michigan in 2 of the 3. Portal? Yeah, but we know why. The Michigan's acceptance, the academic side, isn't as forgiving as MSU's. Sorry, that's just how they are. They're what is the word that I'm losing here? I don't know. Admissions. Yeah. What's your prediction for the run pass percentage next year? I think it's going to be probably a little bit more pass heavy. But not by much. I'm going to say 55-45. If I was to look, and I'm going to have to look because I don't know offhand. If I was to look and see what their run pass percentage was this last year, I would imagine it probably was like 40-60 favoring the run. So let's see, total offense. So ultimately, it doesn't show me by plays here. I mean, rushing yards 3,001, passing yards 3,202. So I mean, they passed for more yards. That's not a big surprise. Rushing, as far as attempts, they had 575 rushing attempts last year compared to 395 passing. I think it will be probably closer to 50-50. I think they kind of tend to strive for that. Like the year before, 2 years before, they had 410 passing attempts compared to 495 rushing attempts, right? So like they'll probably rush more just because that makes sense. But I don't think it will necessarily. I think it will be a lot more pass heavy than it was last year, for instance. I mean, you're not going to have a game like Washington, I don't think, where it's just like run. KM at Keith_1906. What is Rick Minter's role going to be? I mean, he's a defensive analyst, so I'm sure he'll be kind of tied at the hip with Jesse. He's not an on-field analyst. I don't know. They don't really divulge what these guys do beyond like that. And I'm sure it'll be a little bit more of an overarching role. I think he'll be to Jesse Minter in kind of the same way that Biff Poggi is to Jim Harbaugh. Let me put it that way. Finishing us out in segment 2. Elevated just because I didn't want to have just 2 question askers. So Tyler Durden at Kevin LH 1975. Why can't the football team land more high impact players? They're landing plenty. I understand the consternation that happens in April when Michigan isn't in this role where it looks like it is just absolutely killing it at recruiting. This happens almost every year. This happened in 2020. This happened last year. It happens every year. Let's just take a quick look at the team rankings right now. Because like last year, I do want to just remind you, we were having this conversation last year. Michigan finished 13th. Yeah, they would like it to be higher, but that's where they finished, was 13th. There's really no team ahead of them where you're like what, obviously you would like them to get into Alabama, Ohio State type region. This can't be right. This has Texas A&M as 8th. Okay, wait. Sorry, 2022. Sorry, this last offseason, sorry, Michigan was 9th. Texas A&M was 1st, 8th overall. 8 5 stars overall. Michigan only ended up having 1, but that is what it is. 2023, where we're at right now, Michigan is 16th, 1 spot behind Michigan State, has 6 commits. Right now, number 1 is Notre Dame. Number 2 is Texas Tech. Number 3 is Arkansas. Guess what? It's not going to stay there. So, yeah. I mean, yes, 4th is Ohio State, 5th is Georgia, 6th is Penn State. Louisville's 7th. Again, these things are going to change, you know? They're going to change. Now, if they don't get Dante Moore and they don't get a really good quarterback as a backup there, and they end up going like a second straight year without like a blue chip quarterback, then that's where you start getting concerned. But on April 21st, and I know this was last week, this question was asked last week, so April 14th, ain't nothing to worry about. It's early. So they got plenty of impact players last year. They got plenty of impact players the year before. Heck, in 2018 class, I remember, I don't think that wasn't like considered to be like this ultimate great class. And it provided us Aiden Hutchinson. The 2017 class it was 2018. Aiden Hutchinson, Ronnie Bell, it's not a big deal. All right, let's move on. But before we do, BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, we got 2 question askers, but 5 questions to finish us out. So let's get to it. Sean Stites, at Sean Stites 16, with his debut, asking 4. Number 1, how's JJ's shoulder progressing? I know that this was asked last Wednesday, and we got the update on Thursday, a week ago, that JJ was set to start throwing this past week. So good. Obviously very good. Number 2, where Hunter, MD, and Caleb as in Musa Diabate, and Caleb at returning or going to the NBA. I was wondering that myself, but, I'm not a basketball insider. I'm just more of a basketball beat guy. It's curious that none have announced anything either way, but, we're starting to see those types of things get announced, or, people who are transferring, like Brandon Johns just committed to VCU. We're starting to see more stuff like that. So I would imagine, and with basketball, they can go through the process and come back. So we'll find out. I would bet you that at least Musa will go through the process. Caleb, I could see saying, I'm just going to stay. Hunter, I don't know what he's going to do. I have no idea. Number 3, where is Michigan at with the best portal options to bolster their interior DL, as in likely to land and have a good shot at landing? I know the name to watch. I don't remember his name offhand. He's the UCF defensive tackle. And as far as the people who are more in the know than I am right now, they say that it's basically a done deal. So, obviously, and all is up in the air until it's not. But I agree with that. Fourthly, where do we stand with the one super senior DL guy, as in Donovan Jeter, who was going to be going to the draft or potentially look elsewhere to play? That was recently mentioned, as he might come back since he is still an option, apparently. He didn't, he missed the deadline to withdraw. He was definitely looking to come back. Was trying to sort out some NIL stuff, but he didn't withdraw from the NFL draft. Therefore, his college career is done. And he, earlier this week, kind of had like a thank you for everything Michigan fans type post. So that's where it is. The Michigan Fanatic at _M_fan to finish us out. What does Matt Weiss's recruiting responsibilities look like? Mostly quarterbacks. I don't know his region offhand. I've never been good at, even when I was like completely dialed in, if you were to be like, who covers what region, outside of like Chris Partridge in Georgia and stuff like that, like I couldn't tell you who's got what region. I guess I could tell you some stuff, but I think it's more positional for Matt Weiss, quarterback. I don't know what else you want to know about that. Over under 3 Michigan QBs seeing the field in the first 4 games. Over. I think we saw in the first 4 games last year, I think we saw 4. So I'm going to go over again. I think you'll see, there's a good chance you could see up to 5. Because you'll definitely see Cade and JJ. And then I think that these first 3 games are going to be such blowout situations. I got to continue going. The video stopped, but we're near the end, so you're just going to have to deal with it. I think that the first couple games, like, they're going to be such blowout situations that you'll also see Davis Warren. I think you'll also see Alan Bowman. And I also think you might just see, just because of the skill set, Alex Orji. That's going to be my guess. All right, that's going to do it for us. So thank you very much for watching and or listening. That's going to do it for the week, I would imagine, because it's 3 in one day. We're going to do our best to do more next week on a more regular basis. Again, if you're looking for explanation as to why I'm so intermittent, check out the first of the 3 podcasts released on Thursday. But thank you for watching and or listening. Appreciate all of your support. We'll talk to you again soon. Peace.